another Wings Weekly. I'm Jay Kleinknecht with head coach Francis Anzalone. And Coach, we've got a handful of games over the past week to talk about and kind of break down, a handful of other questions that I got actually from Twitter and via email too. So, hopefully the viewers can look forward to that. But Coach, let's start with Wednesday in Brookings. You guys pick up a win there, a pretty solid game all together, and a team that it just seems like you've been able to be real successful against and kind of have that confidence and swagger like we've talked about when it comes to playing Brookings for whatever reason. What can you tell us about your takeaways from the game Wednesday night there in Brookings?
Very good effort game by our team. I thought we had a pretty good start on the road. What I liked about our game in Brookings is we did not give up very much 5-on-5, and they're a team, you and I have talked about it in the past on this show, we've talked about it in our pregame interviews. They're a team that gets a lot of momentum off the rush, and I expected them on home ice to really want to get a lot going off the rush, and I think they did, but we did a great job with our sticks, we did a great job with our defensive posture. Our goalie made a handful of key saves when we needed him to, but I thought he had a relatively easy night. We buried our chances, we finished our chances. I did not like giving up the late goal in the third period. We had a mistake in our face-off coverage, it happens. But what I really liked is we got back after it in the 3-on-3 overtime. We had a little bit of a different plan going into the 3-on-3. We wanted to hang on to the puck a little bit more. Matt Pulver took a shot when we found an opening, and good for us. We got the extra point. We found a way to pick up a good road win in a building that was pretty loud and had some energy to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of a surprise actually for a Wednesday game, and talking with some of the offensive officials, they didn't expect the crowd to be what it was, but definitely had the home ice advantage for Brookings. But your team again able to come away with a win, so congratulations there. Then you turn around, quick turnaround. You've got Thursday practice, and next thing you know, you're on the road Friday to Bismarck. And the first trip up to Bismarck this year, it seemed strange that it was that late in the season to make the first trip up to VFW Arena there in Bismarck. And again, your team came out strong in the first and second, played pretty well overall. Some trouble there in the third, obviously, that ended up with a 5-1 victory for the Bobcats, but right in it. I mean, 1-1 at one point, then 2-1. It was a real close game through the first two periods for sure. What do you take away from that game?
I really liked our start. To be honest with you, I really liked 36 minutes of the game, and I thought we played well for about 42, 43. I did not like our last 17, 18 minutes, but I really liked our start. I liked the first period and 3/4 of the game. We were out shooting them, we were out chancing them. Again, we were not giving up very much. Key in those situations is you have to have a 1-goal lead. You have to have a 2-goal lead. If you're really good, you have to have a 3-goal lead. You have to have a lead. What happened in that game, I think, is a veteran-laden Bismarck group realized, hey, these guys are outplaying us in our barn. We need to get going. We need to get on them. And that's really what happened in the third period. I thought we started the third period fine, but we got into penalty trouble again, and we're not taking a lot of penalties. We're taking stick penalties at bad times, and we're awakening the beast inside of the opponent that doesn't have the beast before we take these penalties. And Bismarck has a good power play. They have good shooters that like to rip the puck from the flanks. They have people that go to the net, and that's what happened. They went up 3-1. We had a bench jam up in a weird change situation. They went up 4-1, and then the puck went off a body to make it 5-1. So lots of positives in the game. We weren't at the net enough, but we rectified that the next night, which I liked.
And you and I talked about this pregame Saturday night, that the 5-1 score is not indicative of the way that game was played. It felt much closer, and in all aspects, it felt like it was a much closer and tighter game than what the score indicated. But Coach, we're starting to see a little bit of a common denominator there. An overtime win in Bismarck, then a little trouble in the third there on Friday night, and then Saturday night here at home, you guys go up 2-0. Barry Melrose says that 2-0 is the most dangerous lead in all of sports, and you end up kind of coming out flat a little bit in the third, and they tie it up and end up going to overtime and winning again. And that one was just a bit of a gut wrencher, it felt like, because you guys come out and played two very strong periods on the attack, making things happen, out shooting them, getting a couple of goals in. Kyle Seamers gets his first goal as a wing, and just good things happening. It just seemed like as you said, a veteran-laden team. They realized it was time to come out strong in the third, and they did so. Well, before we get into finishing games and stuff, which we've talked about, obviously some good things from the first two periods, especially in that Saturday night matchup. What do you think?
Well, in the interest of looking at the big picture, the first and second period were two of the best periods I've seen our team play all year. Maybe two of the best periods I've seen the Aberdeen Wings play since I've been here, especially when you consider third game in 4 days.
Yeah.
We really had a lot of pop, a lot of energy. I loved our second. That was one of the best second periods I've ever seen our group play. Not always pretty, but just on the attack, great sticks, moving our feet. And it's another game where even with our third period letdown, and that's what it was, we didn't give up very much in that game at all. Mm-hmm. And we were in such great shape after two. I loved our second. I liked our tight checking first, and we just had two really, really good periods, really good team periods, and I know where you're probably going next.
Well, where I'm going next is basically just wondering, what it takes. And I know I talked to Coach Brown in between the second and third period too, and one of the keys was obviously going to be come out and continue that level of intensity and that level of pop and into the third, and it just didn't seem like it happened. In the first 5 minutes, it just felt like, oh boy, here comes Bismarck, and that just and once they get a goal in, and then it just kind of seems like you could almost feel the team as a whole, and certainly Bismarck too. That they all of a sudden decided that they weren't out of this, and certainly weren't going to roll over and play dead. And they come back and send it to overtime, and then obviously the win. But we've seen that a handful of times, and now that is, by my count, the 10th overtime game that your Wings have played this year. And does that tell you anything? Does that say anything about your team and about their maybe an inability to just put, rather than playing to win in the third, they're kind of playing not to lose, or something to that effect? Does that sound at all true, or what are your thoughts?
What it tells me is it's something that we desperately have to work on, and we have to find a solution to this. I worded it this way to our team: we have a good ball, but we got to get this ball rolling. And here's what I tell you: we talked in the second intermission, because I'm always going to try to answer your questions. That's just what I'm going to do.
Of course.
We talked at the end of the second period about, let's stay up on our toes, not our heels.
Yeah.
Let's play with energy. Let's play with pace. Let's keep being physical. Let's take away time and space. Let's not stop shooting. By doing these things, we're making the game easier on our goaltender. We're not going to spend much time on our end. We haven't spent a whole heck of a lot of time down there all night. We talked about these things, but we didn't do these things. I didn't mind our first 3 minutes, and then something happened related to a turnover. I'm not going to break it down too much. About 3 minutes into the third period that I felt changed the complexion of the game, and then from that point to about 10 minutes left, they were a letter grade better than us. They weren't 2 letter grades better than us, but they weren't a half letter grade better than us. They were a full letter grade better than us. We took another stick penalty. They scored on the power play, and then 2 shifts later, they won a wall battle. They blew by one of our defensemen. Our center didn't stop to help, and before you know it, it's 2-2. They had more urgency than us in the first 10 minutes. That's the bottom line. And then at 2-2, we had the next 2 great scoring chances. Yeah. But as it usually goes, when you dig yourself a hole, it's hard to get out. The way you survive those situations, like the first 10 minutes, if you're not going to have a great team effort, which is what you need to have, is you either need your goaltender to make you look brilliant, or you need an individual play from somebody to take the pressure off. We got neither. That's fact. And that's okay. If you have to be a great team every night, that's okay. How many successful teams win Super Bowls and NBA titles and World Series and Stanley Cup by being a great team?
Right.
Superstars help. Great individual performances help. There's nothing wrong with having to be a great team. And that's the message this week. What is the solution? What do we do to fix this? All I can tell you is we're on it. We're working on it, and we're investigating it, and there are certain things that just need to stay in the room and need to be team matters, and we're gonna keep that in the room. But we're on to it, and my hope for the viewers and the people that come to see us play, because it was like 20 below on Saturday.
Yeah, it was
people
bitter.
came out to watch our team, and we appreciate that. And listen, the fans in attendance are getting a front row seat to the highs and the lows and a team's growing pains, because we're undertaking every growing pain there is to undertake. We insist on learning every hockey life lesson there is to learn. And hey, we've got 26 games left. We're getting to a point where there's not very many more life lessons to learn here.
Right.
So maybe the ball will start rolling here soon, because there's nothing that we haven't experienced before. But my hope is that our play, our third period play, our vigor, our passion will do the talking for us. That's my hope, is that we'll continue to start well, we'll have good seconds, and we'll recognize these situations to put teams away, and we'll have more spirit in the third period in the future against Bismarck than we had in the second, because we'll be excited at the thought of putting it away. I think we want to be. I just don't think we know how to be. We're going to learn here soon. We're going to get this right.
Well, and you're right, Coach. I mean, certainly there is a lot of games you have to let to play. There is not, there's no sky falling mentality or anything like that. It's just something that I wondered, and I know that I've had some fans kind of asking about too. Is there's what is it between the second and third that changes, and so on. But as you said, something that you as a coaching staff and as a team are addressing, and something you're looking forward to correcting, I guess, as you move forward. And you see the steps. I mean, whether it's against Brookings or against Bismarck, both Friday and Saturday against Bismarck, strong quality of play. Good play in the first and second. Now it's just a matter of finishing those games off, and I know that as a staff and as a team that you'll find a way to get that done. That's pretty much a wrap-up of the weekend and last Wednesday too, the last game. So we're going to take a quick break and hear from our sponsor and be back with more with Coach Anzalone.
Let's make a taco. No, seriously. Start with a tortilla, soft tortilla, warm it, kiss it, don't kiss it. Chicken? How about tequila lime chicken? Now we're cooking. Slice this, peel that, snip those. Salsa? Verde. Cheese? Cotija. Oh, forgot to mention. Guac. That's better. See, anyone can make a taco, but we're not anyone. We're Qdoba, and these are knockout tacos. Qdoba Mexican Eats. Choose flavor.
Welcome back as Wings Weekly continues. I'm Jay Kleinknecht along with head coach Francis Anzalone. Coach, I mentioned earlier at the start of the show that I had talked with some people via email and asked questions via Twitter and so on, if there were some questions that they would like to perhaps ask you, or some things that we could address on the show. And one of them I thought was interesting, and especially because you mentioned, and I actually mentioned on the broadcast too, which I seldom do, but to give a tip of the hat to the fans, simply because it was 17, 20 below zero, real temp. That's without wind chill, and people came out into this barn and cheered the team on, even though there's a lot of other activities going on around Aberdeen and stuff, and it really does say a lot for our fans. But interestingly enough, one of the questions was, what can the fans do to help give a little push, a little extra energy to the team as they get ready to go into the third? And I thought that was kind of interesting, and thought it's something that maybe that you'd like to hear about and maybe respond to.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's on us. I mean, it's on us, not the fans. But I really appreciate that question, because I just think that goes to kind of show I've said this before, and I tell people in the hockey world this, and they know this, college people, pro people. This is a unique place. It's a family atmosphere here. Everybody tries to pull the rope in the same direction. So it's on us first and foremost. We have to get it straight. But I do appreciate that question. I just think constant noise in the building. It's our job to bring the people out of their seats and provide an entertaining game and close calls. And I think our team has done that a little bit better this year versus, not to go back, but maybe even last year. I think there is a little more excitement in our game. But anything in those momentum situations, because these are kids. Bismarck scores that goal to make it 2-1. We've talked about this as a team. We have to have more life in those situations. We have to get excited about not only the highs but the lows, right? Because this game thickens your skin and builds character like no other sport does. We have to start to we relish the highs but command and conquer the lows. And so when you have a bench of 20 being pushed by a crowd of 13, 14, 1,500, encouraged by a crowd of 13, 14, 1,500, even in those low moments, that really helps a lot. Yeah. So anything the fans can do and it's on us, but to let the guys know it's okay and we're behind you, I think that makes these 18, 19, 20-year-olds feel really, really safe in a building that we already feel pretty safe, pretty comfortable, and pretty excited to play. Yeah. That's a great question, and again, it's on us, but I appreciate whoever asked that question, because that just shows the players want it, the coaches want it, but the owner wants it, but the fans want it too. That's great. Thanks for that.
Yeah, definitely a dedicated group that's out here at the Odie every home game.
You bet.
But just like you said, making some noise when the goaltender makes a big save or there's a big hit or a turnover, whatever the case. So just keep that up, fans. We appreciate it for sure. Another question that actually came to me via email was Rico Ratajcic has been on the roster now for about a month. And he has been dealing with some injuries, I understand, or some things that he hasn't been in the lineup yet. But there's some of the folks are starting to wonder, at what point do you think we'll see him in the lineup, and what does Rico bring?
Yeah, good question. I expect Rico to play Friday night in Brookings. He'll play left wing with Carter Rue. That's the plan. Rico's a player we acquired. We knew he was battling an injury issue at the time, so we knew what we were doing there. His recovery was delayed about 10 to 14 days, but he's healthy, he's skating, he's ready. He's a good-sized forward. He's strong on the puck. He skates well. He would describe himself as an offensive player, and he loves to shoot the puck, and he has a really good shot. I'm not here to put undue pressure on this kid, but we're excited to see him, and we've been very, very careful in bringing him back so that he's not back too early, but he's back right on time. So he's a player I'm excited to see. We've watched him a little bit on tape. We've researched him. I know his advisor. He's going to play with Carter Rue, a centerman who, as we know, loves to give the puck to people, share the puck, and make plays. So I'm looking forward to seeing him. The plan for him is to play Friday night. He's 100%. He's ready. Hopefully he helps us be a better team and a tougher team to play against in all areas.
Down the stretch. All right. Well, I know seeing Rico play in Richfield there with the Magicians, it wasn't just the name, but he stuck out to me. I remember thinking that he was a pretty talented-looking player early on. So again, excited to see Rico Ratajcic take the ice for the Aberdeen Wings, and certainly welcome him as well. Coach, another question that was brought to my attention, and kind of something that I guess didn't really occur to me. I mean, maybe just because I kind of know a little bit of the inner workings with being on the bus and so on. But some fans had asked, why is it that Assistant Coach Gratton has been gone, and then Coach Gordie Brown is there, and the next thing you know, Coach Brown is gone, and Coach Gratton is here, and both of them do a lot of scouting and so on. But can you kind of address that question?
Another great question. It's the hats you wear in junior hockey. Nobody really does one job. I mean, coaches who work the weight room. You're the psychologist. You're the nutritionist. Everybody does different jobs. So Mike and Gordie share a lot of the coaching and scouting responsibilities, and we had a plan from day one to get Mike out on the road a lot more after about early to middle December.
Okay.
So Mike's been on the road scouting a lot, trying to find real good players and real good people for down the line. And Gordie, who was on the road scouting a lot in the first half, is now with the team a little bit more. And Mike has been putting on a lot of miles. He's done some wicked traveling over the last 3 weeks to try to really get out and see players. Because we think a pivotal time in scouting is post-Christmas, the 26th or the 27th of December, right until about the 20th of January. If you look at the scouting schedule, there's a lot of prime time events in that 3 to 3.5 week span. So Mike's gotten out on the road with a couple of our other scouts, and Gordie has spent a little bit more time in Aberdeen this month, and pretty soon they're kind of going to flip again. And then everything settles down with scouting right after about early March. There's a little bit of a lull period. Scouting isn't over, it's a 365-day-a-year job, but there's periods where in the calendar year where it's really intense, and then it's a little quieter. Right now is one of those periods where it's really intense, and Mike, as the director of scouting, needs to be out on the road while he also needs to be here with our guys doing what he does with them.
Okay. Well, from a bench standpoint, are they pretty interchangeable? Does one maybe bring something? And I think both are kind of power play specialists, but does one bring one component or one facet, to the coaching style during the games and so on, or is that pretty much, like I said, interchangeable?
A little interchangeable, but their personalities are a little bit different. Gordie's a fiery guy. He's an intense guy. Mike is, and I mean this as a compliment, he'd giggle if he were watching this, he is an emotionless guy at times. And he's kind of the smart one behind the scenes. When Gordie and I are ready to flip desks and throw things, Mike is the one with the level-headed, even-keel, rational approach. And then every once in a while, Mike's ready to throw something, and Gordy and I are calm, and that's when we know where we've got something we need to probably work on. So it's a good staff. I'm a big believer. You hire good people to tell you what to do. And I've got 2 guys working with me that each provide different things. And in terms of who's the human being behind the bench, like from that standpoint, they both understand how we want to play. They both understand how we operate. They both understand how to relate to players. But their personalities are a little bit different. You know what? I think that's good for the players because it keeps it fresh and it gives them a different perspective because, hey, they can get a little bit bored and they can get a little bit stale too. That's why you have to constantly be reinventing yourself and constantly be coming up with ways to do things better and different and put a fresh face and a fresh approach to your process every week.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we appreciate you taking some time to talk with us, obviously here today, but then addressing those questions from viewers and from the fans in the stands as well. Well, that will pretty much wrap up Wings Weekly for this week. Remember that the Wings are on the road both Friday and Saturday, but Friday in Brookings. You can catch that game on 94.1 The Rock and FastHockey.com, and then go back up to Bismarck on Saturday night, and that game also on 94.1 The Rock and FastHockey.com. I also want to take a quick moment to mention the Aberdeen Hockey Association raffle that's going on. A 2016 Ford Focus being given away, and they are $100 raffle tickets. Only 500 of them are being sold though, so your odds of winning are actually pretty good. And what the proceeds are going to are to a compressor for the building to be able to keep the ice on. So not only does it help the Aberdeen Hockey Association and the Cougars, but certainly the Aberdeen Wings too. So if you get a chance, buy up some of those tickets. If you don't want the car, I think it's $12,000 cash. That's the prize, and then there is a runner-up prize of $1,000 cash too. So money going to a very good cause, and you just might win yourself a brand new Ford Focus. So that'll pretty much wrap it up for us. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next week.